Hey guys, this is my first video in a while now. Um, it's Wednesday now. There's a couple of days left to UFC 248, and I just wanted to record this video, just my reaction, recap, just going through the card, talking about some stuff, whatever comes to my mind. So we'll start from the main card actually. So one thing about this card is I think this card is very slept on. I think this card is a bigger one overseas. Izzy versus Romero, that's a huge fight, right? But then Weili Zhang and Joanna, that's a very high level fight in the women's division. And actually, I think the women's strawweight division in general is one of the most stacked divisions in all of UFC, not just men or women. And Weili Zhang is not as much of a a star in the States here as people think. She's more known in her own country, in China. And China is a huge fighting country, so she's a huge star overseas, that people really forget. Here in the States, she's not as known, so I think for that fight, it's a very good matchup. Joanna is scary. She's very scary, and even though she's lost, I think like 3 of her last 5 or something like that. She was still fighting the best of the best, and she never had like a bad performance in any of them. She still is the fighter that she was with her long reign that she went on with as champion. The thing is with this fight is that I feel like they kind of have very similar styles. They both throw flurries, quick. They're both known for their crisp, quick flurries of attacks. So we'll see how this happens. I think for this fight and even the main event, it's gonna come more to mental, like the mental aspect of it more than the physical and like the abilities, because Weili Zhang, Joanna, they're both very high level, and I think it's just gonna come down to who's the bigger dog at the end of the day. Wiley, she is a lot of drama in her fight camp, with everything going on in China and the virus that's going on. So she actually had to move her camp around from China to Thailand, and then I think she moved again either to Brazil. I'm not sure, but then she came to the States. But I don't think it affected her as much. I still think she's very focused for this fight, and I think she's a big role model for she all of China is going to be watching her, and I think she knows that inside. She knows that she's bringing some kind of light to what's going on in China, so I think she has that in her head, and she will be fighting for her country. She's going to be representing her country in this fight, and I think she's going to do well with that pressure. So we'll see what happens. I think anyone can win this fight, but I think ultimately it's going to come to whoever just is the bigger dog at that night. The main event, Israel versus Yoel. I don't even know what to think, man. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know who I want to win. This is very wild fight. It can go any way. And this is not no wrestler versus striker type of thing. Yoel Romero is one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, but man never uses his wrestling, right? So, and I don't think he will this fight either. Even though most would agree that if he did try, I think he would have success in his wrestling against Izzy. But even though Izzy does have he does have good wrestling defense, but we'll see what happens. This is a wild fight, man. Like, Romero. So I just thinking about Adesanya's last few performances, right? Adesanya, amazing performances, but one thing I've noticed with Adesanya is that he does get hit, even with his early fights. He even with his early fights. Let me tell you a fight that he was taking a lot of damage in as well. Let me tell you. I remember the guy's name off top, but I think he is fighting soon again. Hold on. Let me get this guy up. Marvin Vittori. I think he was suspended for some, some USADA issues. But Marvin Vittori is he's a very skilled fighter. But I remember watching that fight and thinking Izzy was taking a lot of, like, he was getting hit, and Kelvin Gastelum, he got rocked, I think, 2 or 3 times in that fight. Whitaker caught him a couple times, but that was an amazing performance by Adesanya. But again, Adesanya he moves a different type of way. Like, his combinations and the way that he moves in there, he's too comfortable. He's too comfortable for how long he's been fighting in the UFC. But it's very hard. Romero is very hard to time, and I think that's one of Adesanya's biggest assets in his game is his timing. And he has power, because Robert Whitaker, he has a chin. He's a dog. If you've seen the 2 Romero fights that he was taking massive hits, man, and he didn't get knocked out. So Whitaker really does have a chin, but Adesanya caught him, and it's just that timing and the precision of Adesanya's attacks. And Romero has a chin too, so we'll see how this works, because Romero is very hard to time. And he's going to be on his explosive lunging in type of attacks, and that's how Whitaker was fighting as well. So that's something else that I have in mind, that Whitaker, when he was fighting Adesanya, he kind of had that same approach with the lunging attacks and the wide angles. He was stretching really far with the hooks, with everything. He wasn't throwing nothing down the middle, which I mean, I get that has to be your game plan. If Adesanya has a long reach, right? So you can't just fight him up the middle. You gotta throw long. You gotta throw wide. And I think Romero does that, right? But Whitaker got caught. He got caught coming in, and that's the same type of fight that Romero is going to be fighting. So we'll see what happens. Romero's never been knocked out. So we'll see what happens. I really don't know what to say about this fight. This is the only fight that I'm just so confused. Like, I have no idea. I have no opinion. Like, these are just my thoughts about the fight. Then going down, Beneil Dariush, I think it's from Iran. He's been in the game for a long time. Neil Magny, return of Neil Magny. I think it's been a little bit over a year. So return of Neil Magny. Li Jing Lang, whatever. That's Wiley Zhang's. That's his. They train together. Lee is very, very big fighter. He's a good fighter. Alex Oliveira, Max Griffin, right? And I think the Edmund Shabazian fight was supposed to be scheduled against Derek Brunson, and a lot of people are very excited for Edmund. He was a lot of people were excited for him, so I'm kind of sad to see him not on the card. Now the prelims. Let's go. Sean O'Malley. It's been 2 years since Sean O'Malley. Mad people forgot about this dude. Sean O'Malley is the future, bro. He's the future of the UFC. And there's a lot of fighters that have a lot of potential, but Sean O'Malley is very, very high level. And I've seen a lot of content of his that's been dropping recently, and he's just talking about how he's just gotten way better over these 2 years with his whatever was going on with him with USADA. And I mean, he was suspended, but then he had fights, and then those fights fell out, and I don't know, different commissions, and I don't know, all kinds of, but but Sean, he is a real dog, and he gained some muscle. I've seen him in videos. He's bigger than he was. So I'm very, very, very excited for Sean O'Malley, and I think they did a good thing of not putting him in the main card and making him the main event for the ESPN, the main event for the prelims. I think that was a good move. But a lot of people I think there's gonna be even more eyes on Sean. There's a lot of eyes on Sean O'Malley, and a lot of people don't know him. But I think after this fight, people are gonna remember. I really think he's gonna have a big performance. He's gonna have a very big performance tonight, and I'm very very excited for the return of Sean O'Malley, and I hope that he wants to stay active this year. I'm thinking that he will. I'm thinking that he will, because he's been out for 2 years. But yeah, that's just my reaction on the card. I also see Darren Wynn on the bottom. He's coming off a loss. I think this is his second fight in the UFC. He trains at AK. I know him as well. Overall good card. A very slept on card, I think. That people are not really paying attention besides the main event. People are not really paying attention to the rest of the card. So I just wanted to, talk about the rest of the card. Yeah, I'm gonna start post again, like I was before. I was kind of on a roll and then I stopped. But yeah, let me know. I've been just talking to friends and getting feedback on my videos and see what I can do better. And getting some video ideas. So yeah, let me know.